Never do this mod to your mechanical keyboard. Well, probably never. I've never actually done this mod, but we're gonna find out today if you should never do it. You probably shouldn't. And the mod is this little O-ring right here. Let me explain how it works. All right, so you have your switch, right? And this little O-ring does not go like that. What it actually does is it goes on your keycap. So right here, you can see the middle of the keycap, and this little O-ring goes over that, and you can see it right there. Now, the point of this mod is to quiet down your mechanical keyboard, so to make it quieter. So actually what happens is every time the switch comes down right there, and when it bottoms out, the keycap has to hit somewhere. It has to bottom out as well. But that little rubber O-ring, well, when it bottoms out, it's going to hit into that O-ring. It's gonna hit into that rubber rather than the keycap bottoming out and hitting the switch. So in theory, this should reduce the sound of this noise. Now, a lot of people like quieter keyboards, and a lot of the best sounding keyboards are fairly quiet. So why shouldn't you do this little O-ring rubber mod? Well, I have a few theories, but let's test it out on a bunch of different keyboards. So number one, we have this kind of awesome looking keyboard. This has ACO Ocean Blue switches. It's a tactile keyboard. Then we have a linear switch keyboard that is completely unlubed. Then we have some lubed Gateron reds. And then we've got a more budget keyboard with unlubed Altemu reds. All right, now to do this mod is pretty simple. All we're gonna do is take off the key right here. Once the key is actually off, let's take off a few. Then literally all you have to do is just put the rubber O-ring right there. That's it with one on. That's it with one off, and then it'll kind of slide down once you put it actually on your switch. So you can see this is super fast and actually really easy to do. So why is it such a bad mod if it makes your keyboard quieter and it's super easy and really inexpensive to do? Like on Amazon, these are all over Amazon, super cheap. So why is it so bad? Well, let's go over it. And first let's do a sound test, because honestly, this might be really good, although I doubt it. Okay, so putting these keycaps back on here, we have the E, W, and R keys done. Let's get a sound test first of the ASD and then the EFR keys. I'm gonna put it up to the mic. No rubber O-rings first. So that definitely made it quieter. Let's do it on some other keyboards and see the differences in the sounds. I really wanna do it on a tactile keyboard, and this one is quite a nice tactile keyboard. So let's take off the ASD and F keys. Now the ASD and F are the O-rings, and under here is not. So without O-rings first. With O-rings. So on the table, so the sound is actually quite a bit quieter, and it actually doesn't sound bad. So let's do it on some lubed switches. All right, SDF have the rubber O-rings. First without. So this one is quite a bit quieter. Here is it on the desk. Quite a bit quieter. And one of the things I'm interested in is how it would sound on the space bar. Now, since the space bar connects in all three places, I'm actually gonna put one on all three of those spots right here. I'm pretty sure that's probably what you're supposed to do. Maybe not, but that's what we're going to do. All right, I'm really interested for this. And with that all on there, now these stabilizers on this Keychron K2 V2 didn't sound the best to begin with, but it does sound better with these on here. But you told me never to do it. Why are you like giving all this praise now to these little rubber O-rings that are getting all over the place? It's now stuck. It's literally stuck in the keyboard. All right, so the point of a mechanical keyboard, the biggest point of any mechanical keyboard, if you're an enthusiast or a non-enthusiast and just like them, is the feeling. That probably more than anything. Yes, the sound is amazing, but the feeling is something that is absolutely insanely massive. Even using a very budget keyboard with some Altemu switches, coming from a membrane keyboard and going to something like this is life-changing for most people. Now, the word that most people refer to when they talk about membrane keyboards is mushy. And this is why you should not use these, because let's go over this. If you have your nice mechanical switch here and you press it in, you're gonna have a nice bottom out. It's gonna be very tactile. I guess tactile isn't the right word, but it will. It'll bottom out and you'll feel it when it bottoms out. However, if you then put a little rubber ring around it, when this bottoms out, it's now going to squish rubber each time it bottoms out. And rubber is what? it is mushy. I'm gonna tell you, the sound, it's actually not bad. It's like pretty good. And especially if you want a quiet keyboard, it's fantastic. However, it doesn't feel good. So like on camera, with you looking at this and listening to this, like that actually sounds better than what it was before. However, the big deal is that it feels like a membrane keyboard. It feels mushy. Okay, maybe not quite like a membrane keyboard, but really close. And yes, this is a cheap way to make your keyboard sound a lot better, especially if you have a cheaper keyboard without having to open it up and put sound dampening or lubing your switches or anything like that. However, feeling it, there is no satisfying down. The sound is good because what you're actually hearing, you're not really hearing it going down. So this is just going down. You're not really hearing it going down. You're hearing it coming up. So as you can hear, pressing down. So basically what the rubber does is it not only absorbs the sound a little bit, but it also basically slows that bottoming out. So your keycap never actually hits the switch. Now this still allows actuation, but it doesn't allow this keycap to smack all the way down like it should. And when you take such a nice tactile keyboard like this one, and then you put them on it, even with a super tactile switch like the Ocean Blue, it still makes it feel mushy. Now I will say with linear switches, way bigger difference. Like on here, this is like, with linear switches, it is such a bigger difference and it's more of a disgusting difference. But with a super tactile switch like this, it also doesn't make as big of a difference because these are already loud. But on a linear switch keyboard, they feel really, really bad, really mushy. The R is with it, the T is without it. It's not even that big of a difference. Now that will obviously be dependent on the board because with this one, quite a big difference there. But that does have lubed switches. So I would say if you do want your keyboard to be quieter, fill it up with some foam. Go in, mod it on the inside. Lubing it most of the times will make it sound quieter, but stay away from doing this. If you want to get these, just don't. Just stay away from them. They're really not worth it. Even though they're cheap and you could take them on and put them off, you're not gonna like it. And if you do like it, it's because you're not looking at the right things in mechanical keyboards. Now, what actually amazes me about this is that some of the top creators for mechanical keyboards have recommended this to people. I mean, I'm not gonna name any names because one, I don't wanna include their clips in copyright strike, and I don't want to name any names in the community. However, some people, like bigger creators, have said these are like a good way to make it quieter, which is ridiculous. That's crazy. That's just bad advice. It is kind of funny that either people tell you not to get these or people do tell you to get these, but definitely understand that they are absolutely horrible. And if you want a quiet keyboard, either mod it or just stick with a membrane keyboard because it's not worth buying a really expensive mechanical keyboard. And even if they aren't super expensive, maybe it's only 60 bucks, you can just get a membrane keyboard for 20 bucks. So yeah, I'm recommending you to buy a membrane keyboard if you don't want to spend the time to make your keyboard become quiet. And if you really need a quiet keyboard, because it's just, you're spending this much money and then you're going right back to a membrane. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I know that some of you guys have actually recommended me to do this. I've done it and I don't like it. Although everyone is open to your own opinion, and I think that's totally fine. And I think one of the things, which we're actually gonna try, is possibly on a spacebar, instead of just doing all three of them, maybe doing one or two on the outside could make a difference because some people's space-bars kinda suck. And the force, if you only have one, might be different. So we're gonna try that. First, we're gonna put one on the middle. So you can see right there, there's only one on the middle right there, and we're gonna test out the sound. First, this is without it. Now, I actually don't know if that made any difference at all. However, I will say it doesn't really change the feeling that much of the actual spacebar. So I don't know if it takes out any of the sound or not, but we're gonna try doing the opposite and putting them on the two outsides right there and seeing if one, that makes it feel mushy, because we don't want it to feel mushy, but we want it to sound better. So let's see that. First, this is without it. Honestly, that doesn't make it sound mushy. And we're gonna have to go through the clips because it's too like similar for me to actually understand. But on something like your stabilizers, that might actually not be a terrible thing because at least on this keyboard, it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel mushy, but on the keys, yeah, no. On the keys, it feels pretty terrible. But yeah, guys, CTR helping you out, showing you what not to do. But yeah, I hope this helped you out. And coming up very soon, I am doing a modding guide. It's basically me just modding it and showing you how to mod a keyboard, and that one will be an intermediate level, and it will be the TechWare Phantom 87. So many of you guys asked for it, and then after that, we're gonna do, comment below. Which keyboard should we do? RK84, LTC Nimbleback, some other type of keyboard? You never know. But this is a consumer tech review. If you guys enjoyed this video and it helped you out, help me out and throw a like below. And if you enjoy other videos like this, I do a ton of them, so please consider subscribing below. And guys, there might be a lot of like modding videos coming up, stuff revolving around it. I've done it off camera a lot, but I've been really enjoying doing it on camera, like way more. Like I enjoyed doing it by myself, but then doing it on camera was like so much more enjoyable. And it seems like you guys were really receptive to it. So there's gonna be more modding content on this channel, doing what I love. That's what you guys tell me to do all the time, which is absolutely crazy. But yeah, this is a consumer tech review. If you guys enjoyed this video, and I've already said all this, see you guys later.